So I've been playing a lot of Starfield lately, and after looking around at a bunch of Outpost videos, I've come to the conclusion that nobody knows what the fuck they're talking about. And the prime offenders are those who tell people that are starting out to build their base on Androphon, and anyone who's telling you to do that hasn't spent a single second of their gameplay actually exploring, and does not deserve a minute of your time. We'll break down exactly why that is, as well as why the planet I'm going to offer here is 10 to 20 times more effective than Androphon is. I will clarify that the main goal of this video is just to teach people how to set up a very quick but wildly effective XP and credit farm for less than 950 credits. Shitting on people who don't know what the hell they're talking about is just a bonus. So let's start with the video, starting with what you need. As I said before, you only need 950 credits. I came out of the tutorial missions with almost 10,000. So there's absolutely zero excuse that anyone can give me for not wanting to set this up. Take your 950 credits now that you've just left the Constellation office on Jemison, head back to the spaceport and go to Jemison Mercantile. If you speak to the lady at the counter and ask to see her wares, then go to resources. You're going to pick up the following items in the specified amounts. You're going to get 14 aluminum, 2 beryllium, 10 cobalt, 2 fiber, 20 iron, 15 nickel, 16 tungsten, and 2 zero wire. Now technically someone's going to point out that I've already lied to you and the total cost is actually 934, not 950. I don't know how I'll sleep at night. Now that you've completed your grocery list, you're going to go up into space and head over to the Bessel system and head to Bessel 3B. You're going to go ahead and scan the planet, and you're going to go ahead and find the side that matches what you see right now. And we're going to zoom in to this section, and we're going to find an area where if we click off and on, we're able to see the biome change between mountain, hills, and then the desert variant. Once we can find an area where if we click around, we find it changes between these three zones, we're going to go ahead and make our landing point here and go in and land. Now that might sound tricky to do at first, but I was able to find this exact spot on the map twice in a row with 2 different characters, and it led me to the same map that I'm about to show you. When you land in, you're going to find something that resembles this, and you're going to see a 3-way split between the 3 biomes. You're going to want to head to the black peak that's between it all, and press F to pull out your scanner, and press R to place an outpost. It's not actually going to place it until you select place with E, but the point of having your outpost beacon out and about right now is simply so you can have a view on what items are within the outpost's radius, and can therefore be extracted. Somewhere on the slopes of this mountain and just a little bit below it, you're going to find a spot that will offer you aluminum, iron, cobalt, and nickel. As soon as you can find that, go ahead and place it down, which will create your first outpost. But now that we have everything that we need, let's go ahead and hop into a very quick overview on how to get this set up, as well as some explanations on how it even functions. So that way you can understand how to use this in later outposts. We're going to go ahead and open our scanner and press R to open our outpost builder. An alternative though is you can come up to here and press R instead. I personally prefer to use the scanner. Once in, we're going to press V to toggle our view. If you see anyone building on foot, they are a psychopath. We're going to press Tab to enter build mode, and then we're going to go over to our extractors, and the first thing we're going to do is build an aluminum extractor. We're going to put it over on the edge here and just place it down. After which we need to power it. So we're going to go ahead and grab a wind turbine, and we're going to place down 2 of them. This will provide power to the aluminum extractor we just placed. Next up, all we have to do is place a bed and go to sleep. We're only going to sleep 1 hour. But the reason why we're going to sleep should be pretty obvious. It's just that we're going to sleep past a point in time where the extractor has already given us the materials that we want. But you'll notice when you go to sleep here, that it's going to say that 1 local hour of time on this planet slept is going to equate to almost 60 hours of universal time. And this is where we're going to get into why this planet is so particularly fucking good as a starter planet. Extractors extract materials according to universal time, meaning that the planet you are on, if it has a day that is longer than an Earth day, every hour of sleep on that planet will count for more time in universal. So that's why on this planet, 1 day lasts an equivalent of 1,387 Earth hours, meaning that 1 day spent on this planet, in terms of its local time, is equivalent to almost 2 months in Earth time. So when I sleep to skip 1 hour, I'm not just getting 1 hour of extraction done, I'm getting 60 hours of extraction done. So I can sleep my 1 hour, and then my extractor is obviously going to be full. The extractor does have built-in storage, it's not very much, and we'll fix that later by building some storage units, but we don't have to right now, because what it can hold in its extractor storage is all that we need for the time being. But I hope you understand that with this, we are essentially able to generate unlimited aluminum, or any other resource for that matter, which we will get to shortly. Now that we've slept and filled up our extractor storage, we're going to go ahead and pop open our scanner again, go into build mode, go into alt view, and then we're going to head back over to our power sources, and we're going to build 3 more wind turbines. So this way we can build a cobalt extractor, which again we'll just put on the edge here, as well as a nickel extractor. Now that we've done that, we're going to sleep again. Now, because we now have an unlimited source of aluminum, nickel, and cobalt, we can now build as many wind turbines as we would like. So we're going to go ahead and build 2 more, although technically you can build as many as you want, and I'll just build several just to prove a point. Power no longer becomes an issue, and you'll never have to spend a single credit generating power again. And now that power is resolved, let's go ahead and head over to build an iron extractor. And once again, just sleep. Now that we've added iron to the pool, we can take things a step farther, and we can build a workbench. The workbench is where this is all going to start to make sense for anyone who is newer to this kind of stuff, because at the workbench, you're able to use the aluminum and iron that we're farming, as well as the nickel and cobalt that we're farming, to make stuff like isocentered magnets or adaptive frames. And you'll notice when you craft them, you actually get XP, and you can craft them in batches to get even more XP. And there are ways to accelerate how quickly you craft these things to really speed up your XP gain process. But the first thing we need to focus on is expanding our storage, because obviously every extractor can only hold so many materials, and every time we sleep, we're pretty much wasting materials because more materials are being generated than we can actually store right now. So the solution is to go into your scanner, pop open your builder, go into alt mode again, and this time we're going to go into our build mode and we're going to go over to storage. And you're going to choose a solid storage. And you're going to notice that the storage costs adaptive frames, which we just crafted by the way, iron and aluminum. Adaptive frames cost iron and aluminum, so as long as we have iron and aluminum output, we have unlimited storage. So we're going to go ahead and have you make 4 separate lines of storage. And before we expand on these and make them even bigger, we're going to go ahead and first have you turn off build mode by pressing tab, so that way you're in modify mode. And you're going to go over to each extractor and connect them to their own individual box. And you can connect by right-clicking on the extractor, after which it will create an output link. This tells the extractor where to put the materials when it generates it. Note that there is nothing that you actually have to do beyond this in order to get the extractor to output all of its storage directly to these units. And if we head over and look at these, you're going to see that the storage is getting filled according to what I linked it to. Also, a quick side note that I almost forgot to mention. All storage from the outpost, even if it's inside an extractor, is all usable from a crafting station, which is why earlier when I crafted those adaptive frames, I didn't have that material in my inventory. It was simply in the extractor storage. And that holds true for all regular storage as well. I never have to pull materials out of these storage units in order to use them in this workbench. Now that we've talked about how to set up the storage as well as link it, now we need to talk about linking expanding storage. Because if I build out a few sections here and then take a 1-hour nap, when you head over to the storage units, you're going to notice that the other units that you just placed are not getting filled. And the reason for that is simply that they are not linked. So how you can resolve this is by going over and creating a link between the box and the box next to it, going over, doing it as much as you need to. So I can link this one to this one, and I can link this one to the one next to it, and this one to the one next to it. And you'll see that the inventory is being shifted over to the last box. In this manner, you can create as many storage units as you'd like and maximize on your storage space, because the storage will always go to the end of the chain, provided that you link it. But if you don't do this, then these other storage containers will not get used. Only the first one will. It will fill up, the rest will have nowhere to go and be wasted. So be sure that 1, you not only expand your storage, but 2, that you link it. Now I've gone ahead and expanded our storage just a little, and I've already linked all the containers in a row as well. So we will go ahead and head back and take another 1-hour nap. And now that we've taken that nap, we've filled up our storages just a little bit, not quite all the way, but we can go into our workbench and we can start spam crafting. And at this low of a level, you get so much XP that we're getting almost half of our XP bar in one batch craft. Now obviously that's going to start to scale down in terms of how much of the XP bar that it fills as you start to level up, but you get the idea. And while that may have seemed slow, you can speed it up quite drastically with the use of something like a macro. Now, obviously, the macro is incredibly fast, but it's faster than our current storage capacity can allow for. So obviously, the next steps would be to, again, increase your storage capacity just by building out more storage, which is now free, by the way, because your output allows you to create literally everything that is needed in order to create more storage units. And that is why this planet is so ridiculously good as a starter outpost, because there is no other starter planet that has this combination of materials. Because one, this is one of 2 planets in the entire game that can actually have iron, aluminum, nickel, and cobalt. But also, the other planet that gets to have this combination is a level 45 planet, and it doesn't have near the same time conversion ratio. And I'd like to drive home how crazy that is. That is 1 hour slept is 60 hours of work. The highest conversion rate you can get in the game right now, that we have seen, is Venus. But you can't build on Venus as a starter planet because it's an extreme environment. This planet not only has iron and aluminum, which is your holy grail for base building, but it also provides nickel and cobalt, allowing you to drastically cut down on costs, as well as providing you another pair of materials which with you can craft for XP. But in comparison to something as stupid as fucking Androphon, which is a planet that a lot of content creators are going to tell you to go to, Androphon has a time conversion ratio of 1 to 6. 1 to 6. That is literally 90% worse than what I am showing you here. In addition, Androphon doesn't even provide the materials that we can. I'll cut my rant short, but simply put, anyone telling you to go to Androphon has no clue what the fuck they're talking about. Obviously, given that how quickly we went through the materials for XP, the next steps are to increase your storage and link it as well. In bulk amounts. I mean massive amounts. So the time that you'll want to sleep will increase little by little as you increase your storage space, just to make sure that you fill your storage space in a single session of sleep. And before I get on to final steps for the outpost, as well as how this turns into money, as well as XP, I do want to clarify that when you do rest, you'll awaken feeling well rested. Now, if you have no clue what the fuck that is, it's literally an XP bonus. And if you're later in the game and you have a companion, it turns into a SXP bonus, because you get an even better XP bonus for sleeping with your companion. It doesn't even matter how long you sleep for, it matters just that you slept. And this XP gain does apply to the XP gained from crafting. Moving on to how this starts to turn into money though, the first thing you're going to want to do before taking any of the materials anywhere is create a landing pad with a shipbuilder, the materials for which we've already accounted for in everything I had you buy before. And you're going to typically want this as close to your workbench as possible. And the reason being is you're obviously going to be really fucking overweight. More than you already are. And when you're encumbered, when you move, it drains your oxygen just for moving, even if you're not sprinting. And then if you drain your oxygen, your CO2 fills up. And when your CO2 fills up, your health drains. But it's important to note that you cannot actually die. Being over-encumbered only means that your oxygen drains, but that does not mean that you cannot play around being over-encumbered. And if all you need is to go from an outpost to a merchant on a planet, there is no reason to be afraid of being over-encumbered. If you go up to the shipbuilder panel and then modify your ship and just exit out, your ship will appear up here. And now that the ship is here, all we have to do is hop in and go to a city. My personal favorite would be Aquila City in Cheyenne, but that doesn't mean you can't just go to Alpha Centauri and do the same thing. The reason why I prefer Aquila is simply because I can sit on this chair right next to the merchant, and I can both wait out his reset timer to restock his inventory and his credits, as well as access him. So I can come in here, I can ask him what he has for sale, and I can press Q to go to my inventory, go to resources, and I can go to adaptive frame or isocentered magnets, and I can sell as much as he will buy. But again, he's not always going to have all the credits in order to buy everything that we want. So in a case like this, we would sell as much as we're willing to, and then he only has 3 credits left. So we can now wait on the chair, and if we wait a total of 48 local hours, then any generalized vendor, excluding ship vendors because they're different, will reset its wares as well as its credit count, so you can just sell to them again. So the long and short of this method becomes, you can farm out infinite materials just for sleeping, craft out infinite XP, once again just for sleeping, with an XP bonus or a SXP bonus if you prefer. And then you can take your massive million-ton weight capacity of storage and then go camp out a vendor and sell it. Is it incredibly riveting content? No. I think there are much better ways to earn money, but they typically involve exploits. But if you want something that is honest work, then this is the option for you. And in terms of starter planets, I personally, out of all the other options, couldn't find a better one than this. Its ability to not only provide 4 different basic crafting materials that go towards up to 3 different recipes right off the rip, as well as its ability to give us 60 hours of time conversion, is just completely invaluable when you're starting out.